For Pacifica Radio, I'm Christina Onnested. The death toll in Gaza has topped 9,000. More than 3,700 are children, according to Gaza's health ministry. But the total is likely much higher as thousands are unaccounted for. Israel says it's lost 18 soldiers during its land invasion into northern Gaza. It's also struck the Jabalia refugee camp for a third straight day. And it also hit the Maghazi camp in central Gaza. Most hospitals in the north have completely shut down. According to Gaza's health ministry spokesperson, Dr. Arshaf Al-Qudra, his comments translated by Al Jazeera.
We received 2,600 reports for missing, including 1,150 children missing or buried under the debris. The Israeli occupation forces violations against medical facilities resulted in 135 deaths among the medical personnel, 125 ambulance vehicles destroyed, 100 medical facilities were partially damaged, and 16 hospitals and 32 medical cares are now totally out of operation, either by direct targeting or as a result of absence of fuel.
The WHO, World Health Organization, says resources that have entered through Egypt's Rafah border into Gaza are a drop in the bucket. Dr. Richard Pieperkorn is a WHO representative in occupied Palestinian territory.
The WHO calls for an urgent, accelerated access for humanitarian aid, including fuel, water, food and medical supplies, into and throughout the Gaza Strip.
Meanwhile, Israeli settler violence in the occupied West Bank has killed at least 4 Palestinians as settlers burned down homes, shops, and cars. 134 Palestinians have been killed in the West Bank, nearly 2,000 wounded since Hamas attacked Israel October 7th and took more than 200 hostages. And Israel then waged a war on Gaza. U.S. President Joe Biden, for the first time, voiced support for a ceasefire in Gaza during his visit to Minnesota, where he touted his efforts on the economy, Bidenomics. He made the statement after a rabbi, Jessica Rosenberg, interrupted him.
Mr. President, if you care about Jewish people as a rabbi, I need you to call for a ceasefire right now.
Thousands marched in Minneapolis Wednesday demanding a ceasefire and an end to the Israeli occupation of Palestine. Former President Donald Trump is asking a court to prevent Michigan's Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson from leaving his name off the 2024 primary ballot. Activists point to a section of the U.S. Constitution's 14th Amendment that prohibits a person from running for federal office if he or she has engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the U.S. Their efforts mirror others around the nation that paint Trump as the inciter of the deadly January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. Farah Siddiqui reports.
Former President Donald Trump is asking a Michigan court to stop a lawsuit that would block him from the ballot. Suits in 3 states point to the Civil War-era 14th Amendment as barring insurrectionists from office. Trump says Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson lacks the authority to enforce the amendment, but Benson says that's up to the Supreme Court.
There's a lot of evidence in the public record and in several indictments to suggest interference with the effort to overturn the will of the people.
I'm Farah Siddiqui for Pacifica Network and Public News Service.
Jordan, a key U.S. ally, said Wednesday it's recalled its ambassador from Israel and told Israel's ambassador to remain out of the country in protest over what it called the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. Jordan signed a peace deal with Israel in 1994, the second Arab country after Egypt to do so. Several Latin American countries have also severed ties with Israel over its bombing of Gaza. Bolivia, Chile, and Colombia recalled ambassadors. Israel's foreign ministry Wednesday accused those nations in separate statements of aligning themselves with Hamas terrorists. But Chile's President Gabriel Boric said on social media innocent civilians were the main victims of Israel's offensive. Most also denounced Hamas's attacks, but also Israel's. Colombia's President Gustavo Petro said on social media it's called genocide. They're doing it to remove the Palestinian people from Gaza and take it over. And lawyer Andy Barkan has died from complications related to ALS. He was 39 years old. While advocating for his access to health care after an ALS diagnosis in 2016, Barkan became an activist for universal health care. He co-founded the organization Be a Hero in 2018 and in 2019 testified at the nation's first congressional hearing on Medicare for All. I'm Christina Onnested, reporting for Pacifica Radio.